This is Stranger Than Fanfiction. This is not for kids. This is the end of the intro.
That's a good bit where it's like the scale keeps getting tipped back and forth. You're just like, oh, fuck this guy. He has a puppy. Oh, and then he kicks the puppy. Oh.
Then he apologizes to the puppy and feeds it food.
Oh.
He kicks the puppy for attacking a baby.
Yeah.
And then
But
he
turns
adopts.
out
He kidnapped the baby.
But turns out the baby was a bomb.
An impoverished home where he's being abused.
He adopts the baby too. But he's an abusive parent.
But only because the baby's a serial killer.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Stranger Than Fanfiction, where we celebrate the fans and the fiction by reading fiction from the fans. Once again, I'm leaving the podcast, guys. I know every single time, something falls through every single time, but this time it's real. I'm leaving the podcast to start on my novel of 19th century scientist romance called Pride and Petri Dish. I'm Wes.
God damn it.
Well, when Wes is leaving, I'll also be inventing a new type of sweater that cures erectile dysfunction, the Hardigan.
I was grown from a petri dish.
I'm Respo, right?
And I'm Hunter.
And I need to make a list or something. I'm Taha, and I am just fumbling.
So, guys, I just have, I think, 3 words.
What?
One of them is a number.
Okay.
One.
But also could be written as a word.
Is it between 1, 2, and 3?
Yes.
Okay.
Two.
Space Jam 2.
Space Jam 2, baby.
We just got the trailer for the new Space Jam 2 today. It won't be new when this comes out.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about it because it's new for us.
Yeah, but it'll still be new. The movie won't have come out.
yet.
So
Yeah,
it's still
that's
worth
true.
discussing.
This episode gets released like 8 months from now.
Holy shit.
Holy shit.
So
what happened?
we're getting Space Jam 2.
I can't wait.
First thoughts. You guys have all seen the trailer, yes?
Yeah.
I haven't, but
Wow.
it's okay. Wow.
Okay.
Shared it in our group chat this morning, and he just didn't watch it.
I was watching anime.
You two, what are your first thoughts? What do we think about Space Jam 2? Are we excited?
Yes,
Very
I am.
excited.
I thought the 2 main points that stuck out to me was, 1, LeBron James seems like a much better actor than Michael Jordan.
Surprising.
So at least you're settling the basketball debate aside, GOAT of basketball aside, LeBron James will be a better actor than Michael Jordan.
Now, Michael Jordan,
apparently.
that's not to say that your brand of acting was not campy in a good way.
Because we know you're watching.
Yes.
I know you're
Yeah.
watching. Thank you for subscribing to Strange and Fanfiction. Really appreciate your support. So, Michael, this is not to say that we don't think you're amazing, because your performance in Space Jam, the original, is iconic
Don't forget about the mic, Wes.
because of such lines as, "But I'm a baseball player now." So, classic line from Space Jam.
Yeah.
So, Reese, continue.
So I think he's going to be I think LeBron James is just, I mean, not necessarily, Michael. As we were saying, we don't think you were bad. Just from like an actor perspective, it wasn't the preferred method of on-screen
I think
acting.
LeBron does Meisner.
Yes, LeBron must have an acting teacher.
Yes.
He likely has advantages that you didn't have. It's 2021, man. So much time has passed. Acting coaches are everywhere, right?
He just spent 6 months at the Moscow National Theater Institute practicing
Wow.
Stanislavsky.
Wow.
So getting prepped.
He
for this.
learned from the Stanislavsky.
He's still alive. They keep him alive.
Yeah.
On ice.
His acting technique has
ice.
actually
Yes.
kept him alive.
in like cubes.
And yes, it's
To chill
like
drinks.
so when you take an ice cube
Would
and
you
eat
like
it,
a
you get a
glass
thought.
of Stanislavsky?
Very
you
good.
drink his
You
juice.
drink his
You drink the Stanislavsky juice, and then you adopt
Now-
his acting technique.
Now here's a question. Maybe it was answered in the trailer, so this is good. I'm
Is
your
Bugs Bunny in it?
Yes. I'm your blind control group. Do you think Michael Jordan will make a cameo?
make a cameo.
I hope.
I hope he does for a hot second.
Yeah, just
like
a
what
cameo.
Yeah,
Michael, let us know in the comments.
yeah, Michael. I know. It might be hush hush. So if you can't let us know, just
Email
You
us.
can just email us.
Yeah.
STFFpodcast@gmail.com.
You can also find us on Instagram.
No,
and
I think it
Facebook
would be
and
really
TikTok.
cute if Michael Jordan was in it.
STFFpodcast.com.
Because for those of you who've seen the trailer, it's very clear that they're making it kind of Ready Player One-y, where it's like there's a whole. It's not just the Looney Tunes this time. Because again, we talked about this. Now that Iron Giant's public domain, everyone's like, let's put Iron Giant in our thing.
And everything.
yeah, and
You
Iron
know what?
Giant's
We
gonna be
should
like, I better be getting paid for this.
You're not, because the rights are free.
Nuke
Yeah,
cannon.
anytime you have access to the multiverse, which is what they're doing, they have said they're like, welcome to the multiverse.
Yeah, I was gonna say they passed by fucking Westeros.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the
Don't
very
they?
beginning.
Yeah.
Which brings me to what I really loved about the trailer. Fucking Don Cheadle
Yeah.
as the villain.
Yeah.
How cool is that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hunter, you would know all this if you had watched the trailer.
I'm just really excited to be hearing about
We
it.
could just start making stuff up, and Hunter wouldn't even know if we're telling the truth.
I don't know if you're telling the truth right now.
Like
Like,
Oprah
is there-
is the head coach.
is
That's
there-
so cool.
Is
I
there
know,
a
that
Space
was
Jam
amazing.
2?
When
I don't
Oprah
know.
like dunked on LeBron at the very
It was
beginning.
amazing.
Oh, it was so cool.
Oh, Ellen and Oprah fight it out for best talk show.
Oh,
That was
see, I was like, how is this
intense.
related
What,
to
it's-
basketball?
Wait, like 1v1 half court?
Yeah, 1v1 half court.
yeah, they
Shit.
do a half court shot.
And
they
Wendy
were
Williams
talking the
is there
entire
too,
time.
but she's not in running
yeah,
for best talk show.
and then Ellen loses because Ellen's a piece of shit.
What if we get canceled for saying Wendy Williams' talk show isn't that good?
Wait, is Ellen?
No, people don't really
Is
like
Ellen
Wendy
a
Williams.
piece of shit?
Yeah, Ellen got canceled.
Yeah,
Did
Ellen
you not
got
know about
canceled
that?
for being mean to people.
Yeah, she got canceled because
I like
she
vaguely.
was-
Didn't she come out and apologize?
She did, but
I mean, yeah.
it was a half-assed apology.
Interesting. Okay.
Uh,
I might have to go.
It was
and
basically she was
look
like
this up.
abusing her staff
Oh,
and like
Ellen,
vocally abusing them.
don't do
and-
that.
From what I saw, it wasn't even so much like vocal abuse as it was she was just like she wasn't nice.
Yeah.
Like she was weird.
So wait, did she get canceled because her brand is be kind and she
Yeah,
wasn't
basically.
kind?
It was
Yeah,
basically
pretty
because
much.
people felt I think most people just felt deceived
Yeah.
because
And
she
her-
does this whole like be kind to everyone thing, and then she's like not actually that nice to people. And it's like
her staff would like have gone on record, a lot of them now, saying that the working environment for being on the Ellen Show was terrible. And
Yeah.
Interesting.
nobody liked working there, and it was really uncomfortable. And she would go off on people.
See, I find that interesting to think about from the philanthropic aspect.
Mm.
I'm like, being a shitty person in private and still doing good things for people. For some reason, it does muddle things just a little bit in my mind. I'm like,
Right.
yeah, you can be a shitty person, but then I don't know, when you're outwardly helping people,
It feels hypocritical.
it is hypocritical.
Even if it's like, because like at its base bones, the building blocks are like, yeah, you're helping people, but when people find out that they are not like that in private, it just cheapens their want to listen to them.
Yeah,
Because,
I'd
you know,
agree with that.
Because I agree with you. I'm like, she is outwardly doing a lot of philanthropic things, but people don't think about that. They're just like, oh, well, if you're not actually kind, then I'm not going to
and
listen
all
to
these
you.
questions are going to be answered
in
Space Jam
2.
2.
Could you imagine?
So, y'all, I think it's time to move into weekly prompt. Yeah,
Right
Yeah.
in front.
Jump
Let's do
right
it.
into
So today's weekly prompt.
What's going to happen in Space Jam 3?
We're already talking about Space Jam 3. I'm a big fan of this one. This comes from writing prompt. I'll explain it. Weekly prompt basically is where we scour the Reddit verse
For hours.
hours, literally.
Days even.
Like take an hour and divide it by 60, and it's how long I took to find this.
Divided by
So this is coming to us from Reddit user Vengeful-Pickle. Thank you so much, Vengeful-Pickle.
That was my nickname in high school.
So this prompt is basically we're gonna read this, go over for 5 minutes, and create a little story out of it. The prompt goes: your coworker looks you up and down. You look like shit, Jerry. Long night? You begin to sob. I didn't get any sleep last night. Again. I got summoned 3 times. These goth kids haven't left me alone since they found my blood totem last week. They just keep asking me for the same thing.
And
And that's the end of the prompt.
Well, I think there's a couple of questions that need answers.
uh-huh.
This is not a human workplace. This is like imps in hell workplace.
Is it?
I think so.
I was imagining this at
think
fucking Best Buy.
I'm thinking. It is
Kinko's.
Best Buy, but it's Hell's Best Buy.
Hell Best Buy.
This is Hell's Buy.
So worst buy.
This is worst buy. Yes,
So
but it's just like Super Life. It's just work. You're just working in your Super Life job in Worst Buy.
In Worst Buy.
And you keep getting summoned with your blood totem. But you're Jerry, the human, the devil human.
The devil human.
oh, that's
but also
interesting.
the heaven human because
But also the heaven human.
Okay.
on the weekends you go.
Okay.
You go to heaven.
So think of every horror movie that's ever existed where they summon a demon or a devil or something like that, right? What if this devil is just like a dude working
pissed
his
off
job,
guy.
pissed off, and but it's like a conscription that nobody can escape. Like all the devils, all the demons have this contract from the beginning of their thing where they're like, yeah, if a human summons you, you gotta go. And then
if they find your blood totem,
I'm sorry, you got to go to the
Sorry,
the
Jerry.
human plane.
Yeah,
Happens to the worst
it's
of us.
Mandatory.
Exactly. It's
written in-
literally mandatory.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's written into your contract.
Mandatory.
So what are these kids asking? Because my first thought was like, goth kids summon a demon, and these goth kids, they're smart.
Oh, I mean, you do your thing and then I'll give mine.
Thank you. So these goth kids, they're smart. They're young. They're like 14 when most goth kids are birthed.
Yeah. I was born as a 14-year-old goth kid.
Exactly. So they're like, oh, heck yeah. Hey, demon, can you go buy us some cigarettes so we can really live out our darkness?
Yeah.
Cause this demon's older. He's
Yeah.
like obviously he's lived and died. So they're like, hey,
Probably like 45.
yeah, we can't get him ourselves, but Blood Moon over here really needs. He's been trying to get his cig on. Can you go buy us some cigarettes?
Could I get some menthols?
Yeah, can I get some Marlboro lights? That'd be really sick.
That'd be really
and so
cool.
Demon, obviously, he is obligated to get the cigarettes, but this is a moral conundrum because he still is living super life where he gets to go to heaven on the weekends.
What is Demon's blood totem?
Super life is no joke.
No.
But do you think in that case that when he's in heaven that he can no longer be summoned via blood totem? So it's like a weekday thing.
so he has to spend
He
his
has to use-
raging
they have to
weekends
use the
resting.
mucus totem.
Yeah.
He has to spend his party weekends just resting.
Yeah, he's like, I'm so
Yeah,
tired.
yeah, yeah. That's maybe they just want to party with the demon.
So now
All
hell is
time.
sounding like real hell.
Yeah.
Where you just don't get to rest ever, and then you go to heaven and
Yeah.
you're like, oh,
Oh, that's
God.
that's real hell where the
thank
devil
God.
he scatters your blood totems
Uh-huh.
on the earth, and he's like, "Oh yeah. Well, once you get to go home, you're fine. I mean, unless goth kids summon you with a blood
Yeah,
totem.
unless
that
the
would
goth
be
kids find
really
your blood totem.
The
unfortunate.
goth kids are like, hey, can you do my homework?
Hey,
He's like, God damn it. I thought I was done with this.
The jock kids keep making fun of us for our dance moves. Can you just go haunt them for a little bit?
Hey, can you actually go dress up as me and work my job at the Best Buy?
That would be great.
And he's like, oh, I was just doing that.
but the hours are reversed, so I'm just gonna work a 12-hour shift.
you get back and they're like,
Fuck.
hey Jerry, you're a little late, but go ahead and take your station. That's all fine. And you're like, I just didn't double. I don't want to do a quad.
I've been at work for 7 hours.
Now it's true hell.
Working at
Stranger
Best
than
Buy.
fan fiction, where we sympathize with the demons.
Where you
and
go
devils.
from Worst Buy to Best Buy.
Stranger than fan fiction.
I-
True hell.
I love this
True
idea.
hell.
I love this idea though of goth kids just being like, "Hey, can you just do this mundane? Like, what if they keep summoning him to just show him to their new goth friend? It's like, yeah, we can summon a fucking demon. What? It's like, yeah, dude.
Not kidding.
No,
You
not
summoned a
kidding. Check
fucking
this. And then,
demon.
like on the 6th time, he just fucking snaps, and then it becomes the horror movie. So you find out that all these horror movies are just like the 7th iteration of summoning that demon. And when this one comes in, it's speaking in abyssal languages, but it's really just being like, "I've had it up to here with the shenanigans with you children."
I was going to say, what if it follows like Mr. Meeseek's law
Mm.
and he can't return
Until
to
the
his
task is
to his
completed.
super life
Oh wow!
until he has completed the task that the
oh,
goth kids
that's an
have summoned
interesting
him
discussion
for.
right there, because then, I mean, that's the rule.
Yeah.
Oh fuck!
There's nothing else you can do.
Can
What
you
if-
just work for me?
Yeah.
And then he has to work for that kid's entire career.
Uh-huh.
Well, that's when he starts whispering into other people's ears, and he's like, "Hey, I mean, I'd kill somebody for you, like that guy. Only if you got to ask though.
Uh-huh.
So
Start becoming sadistic.
you have to
I'd
start.
also-
That's where all the finagling of language comes in.
Yeah, I'd also like to bring up more retail chains, hell alternative retail chains like
okay.
Worst Buy and
Uh-huh.
TSIF.
Bed Bath and Below.
Thanks, Satan. It's
Mm,
Friday.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
It could also
yeah,
be
that's good.
TDIF. Thank Devil, it's Friday.
That's good. That's good.
TDIF. I like that.
Yeah.
Waffle House.
Yeah, Waffle House. That's a good one.
Oh yeah.
So wait, I guess goth kids. Well, I guess demon summoning in general is just a really bad idea on the weekends because nobody's available.
Yeah, all the demons are in heaven.
Everybody's contractually
Yeah.
not obligated to show up.
Like it's my off day.
F and B, Fire and Brimstone.
That's
pretty good.
Brimstone.
Instead of Barnes and Noble.
Mm.
Oh, I was thinking H&M, but
Well,
F and B.
There's Barnes and Noble
Yes.
and like Barnes and Naughty. Degenerate.
Yeah.
Naughty.
Naughty.
All right.
well,
That's
that
enough
was
of that.
fun.
That was hot.
Wait.
That was
I want
hot.
one more. What's one for Walmart?
Hellmart.
That's all.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, we can go.
That
on.
was good. That was fan-freaking-tastic, Reese. Like, take
He's
a bow.
done. I mean,
Yeah, take a
he's-
bow.
He just
That's
peeked.
it.
Do you see him? He's about to walk through
Take
my
a bow.
Oh, he's not going to walk through my camera.
I can't tell what that looks like on the camera.
All right, y'all. Is it time to get into fan fiction for today?
Fan fiction.
Hell yeah.
Let's do it.
So, before we start, I want to just preface this fan fiction by saying many times on this show, I find a fan fiction and I say, this has now become my favorite fan fiction. That happens many a time. I think the last time it happened was with the Romeo and Juliet
Insurance.
Insurgents.
Thank you.
It was a fantastic fan fiction. This one, I think, may have taken the crown once again. Truly, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know how I do it.
And what a sweet surprise it is.
But this is this is a fan fiction called Conservation of Momentum.
Good.
By author Roseclaw. This was found in Archive of Our Own. This is a Candyland fan fiction based off of the 1980s board game Hasbro TM. I want to read a little author's note because I want it to be understood why I think this is a fantastic fan fiction. The author's note says, world building is difficult in its own right, but world building in a non-existent fandom where all one has to go on is a blurb and a picture is really damn difficult. Many, if not all, references to people, places, creatures, and insults are brands or types of candy. I have never done this much research for any other fic I've written, and that is why this was almost never finished. There's a lot of types of candy out there. Also, I managed to take everything remotely childlike about the game and rip it out by the roots. Written for user Big Bang,
Great name.
this was based on the original definition of apocalypse, the disclosure to certain privileged people of something hidden from the majority of mankind, a revelation or lifting of the veil. Then there's the whole end of the world thing. I use the Norse Ragnarokis, and the Christian Book of Revelations as a basis for the plot. Also, my version of Candyland is from the 80s version, not this new version. Thank you for the awesome Sai Kokato for the beta and cheerleading. So, some shout outs to some other users who helped out with this process, but this is basically Candyland Apocalypse. And it's fantastic.
Okay.
Wait, what'd you say, Taha?
Sweet.
Ooh. There it is.
Well, everybody,
so it
thank you so much
begins.
for joining us for
Stay
another episode of
strange.
Strange
And the
Fan
fanfiction stays range. All right.
Stay sweet.
Stay sweet. So, Taha, you'll be reading Princess Lolly. Reese, you'll be reading Queen Frostine. And Hunter, you'll be Mr. Mint.
Mr. Mint.
Mr. Mint here.
So, and once again, this was published on May 3rd, 2010. So this is over
Wow.
a decade old.
Wow.
But I'll talk about that more later. We'll read it and then we'll get to talking. It's very good.
And we'll get to talking.
The ice cream sea was boiling. Queen Frostine frowned at it. This simply would not do, nor did it bode well. She had been waving off rumors for weeks of the Gumdrop Mountains melting. Now she thought maybe there might be some truth to those rumors. It was worth an investigation, a trip out to the mountains. She looked at the ice skates in her hands and bit her lip. Something was wrong in Candyland, and Frostine would be damned if she wasn't going to put an end to it. She would have to do it herself. King Candy was a dottery old fool, and she had believed his lies when he had told her that there was nothing wrong in the kingdom. Frostine had been a good queen, and not one of her subjects would counter that. She had submitted to their king despite the age gap. He was her king. She had even given him a child, but not an heir, something he still tried to rectify. Frostine was delighted to discover that the sweetness that made him soft around the middle had also caused his impotence. Candy blamed Frostine for not trying hard enough, for being selfish, because even after a child, the sweetness had barely touched her belly. An heir, a real child, a son, would stretch her body, and she would know the sweetness. She did not hate him, though. He was not cruel to her, just indifferent, except in the case of an heir. But even the need for an heir was only to keep Lord Licorice from taking on the title of king. The smarmy bastard would stop at nothing to become king, even if that meant taking on Lolly as a bride. Frostine would never let that disgusting man touch her daughter. Frostine would do anything to keep her daughter safe, to raise her daughter as the next queen of Candyland. But first, she needed to make sure that there was a world still left for her daughter. Frostine passed the ice cream sea just before dawn. In the gray haze, she could see that the beaches were covered in noxious foam. She could see the pale red of Swedish fish dotting the shore. She didn't need to venture closer to know that all the fish were dead. She could smell their sickly decomposition. It clogged her sinuses and her lungs. The smell stayed lodged in her nose long after she passed the sea and saw the first spattering of trees of the Lollipop Woods. The sight burned to the back of her eyelids. She realized that half the trees she passed on her way into the forest proper were naked. Some had different colored resin oozing down their trunks, and many had been taken over by red vines. A feeling she couldn't name crept up her spine and formed a lump at the base of her throat that made it difficult to breathe. Frostine ignored the emotions in favor of hope. Lolly lived in the woods. She attended finishing school, the Charm Pop School. Frostine hoped that she had time to visit with her daughter, if only to say hello before she headed out to the mountains. Lolly was outside reading when Frostine approached. Lolly looked up when Juju's shadow fell over her book.
Mama!
Lolly squealed as she scrambled to her feet. Frostine smiled and dismounted Juju. Juju snorted at Lolly, and Lolly ran her fingers up the blaze on Juju's muzzle to appease him.
Hello, baby.
Frostine said with a smile.
It's been a while.
I'm no longer a child.
Lolly insisted petulantly. She was no longer a child in body, true. Frostine was particularly struck with the stark contrast of Lolly's yellow dress and her strawberry curls. The dress had been Frostine's when she had been Lolly's age, and so had the eyes, but the curls were all Candy's.
You'll always be my baby.
Frostine countered.
Give your mother a hug.
Not that I'm complaining.
Lolly said as she complied with her mother's wishes.
But why are you here? Is Papa with you?
Frostine's smile drooped at the corners, and she was thankful Lolly couldn't see.
No, Lolly. Your papa doesn't know I'm here. I am on an errand of grave importance.
Oh.
Lolly said, sounding a bit stricken.
Then we should continue this someplace else. Morning lessons are almost over, and if someone sees us, they will know.
Frostine frowned and pulled away from her daughter.
Are you skipping your lessons?
Yes, Mama.
Lolly admitted with a sigh. She looked at the ground instead of Frostine's face.
We shall discuss that later,
Frostine said sternly.
Where will it be safe to talk?
Come with me,
Lolly said. She grasped Frostine's hand and led her to a rosewater pool surrounded by lollipop and sugar plum trees. They sat down on the soft moss around the pool. Juju sniffed suspiciously at a sugar plum before he tugged one from the tree and munched on it.
What's going on, Mama?
Lolly asked. She used her entire face to frown.
I need to know of all the changes you've noticed within the Lollipop Woods.
Frostine said.
Oh,
Lolly said quietly.
You finally noticed.
Your father still hasn't.
Frostine reminded her.
That is why he does not know I'm here.
Softly, Frostine continued.
The ice cream sea was boiling.
Lolly gasped. She pursed her lips and sighed.
I thought it was just the Lollipop Woods,
She said eventually.
Valrona said that the Gumdrop Mountains were melting. I didn't believe her because she's a gossipy hose nose. She's been touched by the sweetness, and she's younger than I.
Language.
Frostine reminded her mildly. Lolly huffed.
Is it true, though?
I'm not sure.
Frostine admitted.
I'm on my way to determine that.
What will you do if they are?
Lolly asked. She rearranged her skirt around around her splayed legs.
I would need to then determine the cause and put a stop to it.
Frostine said, sensibly.
You can't just order something like that.
Lolly said.
I mean, no offense.
Lolly.
Frostine said with a small smile.
The law does not work like that. In order to meet a large, seemingly unattainable goal, a series of obtainable legislation will be put in motion to ultimately reach the end goal.
Her daughter had much to learn of laws, and Frostine hoped that would be before Lolly became a queen.
It just seems so huge.
Lolly whispered.
Many things are huge when you look at everything involved.
Frostine said.
You must take small steps to reach a large goal.
Lolly gave Frostine a look that reminded her exactly how young and inexperienced her daughter actually was. The world was a trying place for someone Lolly's age.
For example, you can tell me about the Lollipop Woods.
Frostine said.
We can work on that first.
The trees are melting.
Lolly said. She choked a bit, as if the words really didn't want to come out.
It's really creepy. The dead ones are cut. A lot were cut before, but to make room for Grandma Nut's peanut franchise, she needs acres and acres for her peanut fields.
Frostine had seen the melting trees in their bare sticks, bleached by the starlight. The skeletal remains of the Lollipop Woods were creepy, and Frostine felt a chill race up her spine at the mere thought.
What would make the trees unhappy?
Lolly asked, and Frostine was reminded again just how young her daughter was.
That's what I'm going to find out, baby,
Frostine said resolutely. Frostine heard voices in the woods, schoolgirls, laughing. Frostine looked up in alarm.
What is it, Mama?
Lolly asked.
Your friends are coming.
Frostine said.
I need to go.
She pushed herself up and crossed over to Juju in 3 wide strides.
No one can know I'm here.
Oh,
Lolly said. She looked so pathetically crestfallen, and Frostine's heart went out to her.
I do love you, baby,
Frostine said. She mounted Juju.
I'll be back. I just need to assess Candyland.
I understand, Mama.
Lolly said dully.
I was never here,
Frostine told her. She spurred Juju into a gallop. Juju slowed down to an amble as the trees became sparser. The last time Frostine had been out this far, this open area was part of the Lollipop Woods. It had not been so long ago, either. It was the time of the Great Revolt. The clans up in the Gumdrop Mountains wished to emancipate themselves and become their own nation. Frostine and Candy had traveled there and negotiated. They were able to talk down the threat of civil war, and no one had been victim to so much as a pop rock. Now the only thing Frostine could see were peanut fields, flat green rows of peanut vines separated by rust-colored dirt. All she could smell was the overwhelming smell of peanuts. They went out in every direction, as far as Frostine could see. She did not remember giving Grandma Nut a land permit to expand her corporate empire. Candy must have, because peanut brittle was one of Candyland's main exports. He would jump at the chance to bring more revenue into his kingdom. Frostine's stomach gave a painful twist, and she realized that she hadn't eaten anything since she left the castle the night before. She gathered peanuts from the vine and ate them as she rode. Juju snorted at her, but decided to graze as well. Frostine decided to stay to the outer fields to avoid people instead of using the main road. She and Juju were not the only ones with that idea. Frostine quickly wrapped her hair in a shawl. She had distinctive hair, and she didn't want this stranger to know exactly who she was.
Hello.
He greeted her. He was very pink and very tall.
Hello,
Frostine said in return, looking down from Juju.
Good morning.
You don't want to head out past the peanut fields.
He said.
It's no place for a beautiful woman, or any human for that matter.
He said this with a smile and a Highland accent. So thick, it took Frostine a moment to understand what he said. He was undoubtedly from the Peppermint Forest.
You've come from there?
Frostine asked.
Oh, yes, Mom.
He said with a dip of his head.
There's nothing out there beyond the peanut fields.
Pardon me?
Frostine asked. There was no way that there was nothing beyond Grandma Nut's farm,
There's nothing out there.
It's a wasteland full of dental caries.
the man said.
You don't want to go out there. Oh, I haven't introduced myself. Sorry. It's difficult to find my manners in the presence of such a pretty lady. I'm Mr. Andy Mint.
How do you do, Mr. Mint?
Frostine said. She momentarily panicked. She didn't want to tell him that she was the queen. It wasn't proper for the queen to be outside of the castle grounds without an escort,
I'm Miss Cone.
she decided.
Pleasure to meet you, Miss Cone.
He said.
I must go see these dental caries, as you call them, myself.
Frostine said stubbornly.
That's no place for any person to be.
He insisted.
And my mother would never allow me to let such a lovely woman there unescorted. Why do you need to see him?
Oh, an escort won't be necessary.
Frostine said.
There's no need to worry yourself on my accord.
Nonsense.
Mr. Mint said with a wave of his hand.
You'll need someone who knows the way.
The way?
Frostine prompted, immediately suspicious.
You must be on an errand.
Mr. Mint said.
To the mountains. The main road isn't too sturdy. The refugees have...
Refugees?
Frostine repeated, alarmed.
The mountains are melting, ma'am.
Mr. Mint said.
A lot of people don't have their homes anymore.
Frostine hadn't thought of that. Her heart went out for her people, and she felt an intense anger at Candy. If he had known this and kept it from her, she would never forgive him.
I must see this for myself.
She said resolutely.
Sure, Mom.
Mr. Mint said.
We need to stay in the outer fields. Technically, we're trespassing. You never know when a worker will report you.
No,
Frostine agreed, talking about something completely different.
you never know.
Damn.
So really quick, first thing I want
Drama.
to say, I purposefully gave you that role, Hunter, because I wanted a repeat of episode 1. Because I was like, I wonder if he's gonna. No, it's a Highland accent.
I read my lines, but I want to say I kind of like this recurring thing of my voice shifting.
So I had to do that.
That's brilliant.
But yeah, so a couple just things about the story now that we're done with it. Once again, Roseclaw, thank you so much for this. This is fantastic. I had to edit a little bit in the center, just like cut out a couple lines of descriptors. But this continues. I'm fairly sure it's done. It's been 11 years. But it is a 10,000 word, basically like short story.
Wow.
And this was, I think, the first like 1,800, 2,000 words of it.
Man.
So this is just the beginning of a much larger epic of a little short story. So this just made me so happy again because of how much world building went into creating something that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And creating feelings and ideas about characters and their relationships with each other just based off of a board game where all of the characters are like
Yeah.
and smiling. Even the molasses swamp monster is happy and everyone loves him.
Like the feat of writing that this author has performed, because with a lot of the other fan fiction universes, you can kind of rely on the knowledge of the reader to build the world for you. Like, you don't, like, I'm writing a Lord of the Rings fan fiction, and I don't have to sit there and describe Hobbiton in great detail.
Exactly.
I don't have to go into the narrative that happened in Lord of the Rings to explain why we are where we are.
Uh-huh.
I don't have to rely on that.
Mm-hmm.
This person does a wonderful job of both building the world that exists and also giving moving the story forward in the process. So, like, as we're moving through, Roseclaw does a great job of being like, and this is the environment, but this is where they're moving through, and just describing it as we're moving forward.
And
So good.
Just this sense of like Game of Thrones, but Candyland.
Yeah, that's
is
what it was
such
reminding me
Well,
of.
and also, what an apocalyptic event. Candy is melting.
Yeah.
And their whole world is made of candy.
They're like, that's
Everything.
the great runoff.
Oh yeah. Every type of candy is. Here's what I'm thinking. If I had to get, because I don't know what is happening. What if everything is past its expiration date?
They need new
the candy expired, so they just need
The
to get new
sweetness
candy.
is leaving.
The
It's becoming stale.
Everything is stale now. So Candyland is restart. Everything must be reborn. The world has to be destroyed from the ground up before it can be rebuilt.
Do you know
with new, sweeter treats?
something that my personal theory would be that the game of Candyland, even though this is the world of Candyland, they're still within the board game of
yeah.
Candyland, in which case it's been moved into the attic.
Oh, it's being put away.
It's not being played anymore, so they moved it into the hot attic in the summer.
They get us with a Toy Story bit.
Yeah.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
They
so
hit us
the-
with Toy Story feelings.
So it's starting to melt because the person who used to play Candyland isn't playing it anymore.
Oh,
It's 2021, baby.
And then it.
Y'all, everybody, quick. Get out Candyland and play it
Right
now.
now.
Only you can save Queen Frostine.
You have to
We-
save the denizens of Candyland.
We all go back to Candyland and we're like, wait a minute. Start to scratch away, and it's the smiles are like,
Yeah, they're
Turning into like,
like
painful,
painful.
agonizing screams.
If you put Candyland under a heat lamp, you'll watch as everyone screams in agony.
What if the creators of Candyland actually intended this? They were like, yes, there will be a secret to Candyland, and this will not be discovered until 40
Candyland
years in the future.
Freemasons.
Yeah, the Candy Illuminati.
We have to go back all the way to the beginning. Knock, knock, knock. Hello, grandmother. I wish to see
need
your
to see.
board games.
Bring me Candyland.
Bring me Candyland.
Damn. Now that's just made me think. They need to re-release Candyland as a scratch and sniff.
Agreed.
Why haven't they done that?
Yeah, what the heck?
Or a lick and
What are you
taste.
doing, Hasbro?
Yeah, or
What are you
yeah,
doing,
or,
Hasbros?
or just make it with the actual candy, so you can only play it once.
Oh, by the way, Hasbro, thank you so much for subscribing to Strange Fanfiction.
yeah, thank you, Hasbro.
Very
We
much
love your
appreciate
support.
it.
Yeah.
huge,
Always.
huge.
Maybe like a Candyland advent calendar. You get a little piece of candy every day, but also closer to the
I feel
mystery.
like that would exist. I feel like a Candyland advent calendar exists.
I mean, it better, or else where are we going to find the mystery?
That's what the internet's for.
I'm gonna look
Now
it
I
up.
wanna-
Well, wouldn't any candy really, truly just be a piece of Candyland?
Wait, what if advent calendar chocolates are like prisoners? Oh God.
What if this what if this takes
Yeah.
place in the real world?
It exists.
And what if
It does?
Yeah, it's from the Candyland store too. Candylandstore.com. It's out
That-
of stock.
That
Probably
stupid
because it's April.
that stupid lecherous
Ooh.
candy king always looking for ways to expand his kingdom's profits.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
King Candy's a
I love the
Shit.
political climate of this story.
Yes.
Truly. So it actually reminds me a lot of, there's this book that I'm reading. It's called The Fifth Season by N.K. I believe it's Jemisin?
Uh-huh.
Jameson?
Jameson.
And
pictures of King Candy.
get me pictures of candy. It's interesting because the beginning of this is like, this is how the world ends. That's like the first words of the book, or like within the first chapter. They're like, apocalypse happens. We're gonna get that out of the way now. Here are the stories that lead up to it. And I'm getting that same kind of vibe with this because I love even in the author's note about Ragnarok and the
Ragnarok.
Christian
Book of Revelations.
Book of the Second Coming, right?
Mhm.
Is that in
Yeah.
the Book of Revelation?
It's the end of the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Horrifying imagery in the Book of Revelations.
so what is this gonna look like? I mean, we've already seen the beginning. The ice cream sea is boiling. Was that right, or is
Yeah.
it just
Yes,
melting?
it's
The highlands are
boiling.
melting.
Yeah.
The gumdrop mountains. Are
So what is the
melting.
restoration? Is there restoration? And if not, is this a cycle of rebirth that we're witnessing?
Well,
and
I'm curious now.
how does she save her people?
I'm curious if this takes place in the real world,
Hmm.
and this is global warming.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
is
Yeah.
causing
That was my thought as well.
Global
Yeah.
melting.
global warming's causing the gumdrop mountains to melt, and the gumdrop mountains are falling into the sea. Into
Milady,
ice cream
the
sea.
integrity of the sugar is failing. Bridges are collapsing.
And
Our
we gotta
infrastructure.
we got to get Al Gore's candy counterpart.
Yeah.
Al.
Al Gumdrop.
What's the opposite of gore? What's the sweet version of gore? Icing, frosting, stuffing,
Shit.
owl stuffing.
I can't. I lost it. But we'll just get regular Al Gore.
Yeah,
We'll just get Al Gore.
just Al Gore.
Yeah, just
Hello. Hello, everybody.
It's my prized possession. Says-
Candyland is melting.
So, with the emission of all of Grandma Nut's greenhouse gases from her peanut factory, it's causing the gumdrop mountains to melt.
This
So,
is all a Senate
And everyone's
hearing.
like, shut up, Al Gore. And then
no, really.
Bernie shows up. We can't let the people of Candyland fail.
Their infrastructure.
all of our candy. You know,
What if
if we don't have candy, then what are we gonna eat for dessert?
What if
I like gumdrops.
what if we imagine it that Candyland exists. It's just a hidden government project.
Donald
And
Trump
it's
is
where
like,
we get all of the candy.
What's the
The Book of Secrets from National Treasure is
what's-
all about
the book
where
of
Candyland
the book of
is.
the book of
secrets.
the Book of Sweet
what's the
Sweet Ricks.
what's the Black Panther
Ah,
place?
That's a hard one.
Wakanda.
Wakanda.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Forever.
it's like
Candyland
Wakanda.
is Wakanda. Okay.
Yeah.
I dig it.
It's-
They're like, you've had all this candy all this time.
Yeah, it doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily have to be Wakanda, but it's like tucked away like Wakanda.
Yeah,
hidden
yeah.
behind a
yeah.
veil of
Instead of
translucence.
instead of Black Panther, it's
Sugar.
the Pink Panther.
Oh,
All right,
man.
that was awesome.
I
Well,
love this.
one more time, I want to give credit to where credit was due. Once again, this was Conservation of Momentum by author Roseclaw. Thank you so much for giving us a fan fiction that I didn't know that. Again, that happens every time I find fan fiction. I'm like, I didn't know that I needed
Yeah.
This?
Candyland, but serious and talking about the apocalypse.
It's like I want to see a Candyland. I want to see the
A
CCU.
CLCU.
Yeah.
The CLCU.
Yeah, the
Hell,
Candyland
the
cinematic
cuckoo?
universe.
Honestly, this made me be like
the board game cinematic universe.
Yeah.
the BGCU.
Yeah.
This made me honestly be like, I would love to see this exist as like a YouTube, as like a web series.
Yeah.
Like very serious Candyland shit.
You know what I want? I want someone to take this fan fiction, do a dramatic reading of it
Mhm.
on their podcast, and then discuss it.
that would be so cool.
Wouldn't that be a great
I
idea?
think that'd be
who's-
awesome.
Who's ever gonna do that?
You got to stop thinking in ideals, man.
I just think it would be a perfect if someone thought of this idea, they'd be so amazing and funny and adorable
and
But
millionaires.
the world's not that
and
kind.
sexy too.
Yeah, that's never gonna happen.
And really, really hot.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
well-
never gonna happen.
well, three.
Definitely not.
Yeah, three of them would be.
Yeah.
One of them wouldn't, and he wouldn't have hair.
No.
I knew this would happen. I'm growing all my hair back.
Well, everybody, thank you once again for joining us on another exciting, exhilarating, and particularly sweet episode of Stranger Than Fanfiction. Guys, is there anything you want to say before we sign out for the day?
I'd like to say that I'm surprised and impressed at the lack of candy puns that we made over the course of this episode.
Yeah.
I'm happy that we didn't insert. It was like there was no Iron Man bit.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean,
yeah.
what a bunch of goobers
Yeah.
we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say
Four
that,
nerds in one room, not making candy jokes. I mean, come on.
Nothing
I'll
like
say
that.
that the end of this episode leaves a large cavity in my chest.
Yeah. Yeah.
We should take you to the hospital.
Yeah,
I know.
think
I need
we
to
might
get
need to
that
get that
checked out. I need to
checked
go
out.
to a
Yeah. This is a problem. We need to go.
This is really gumming up the works.
Yeah.
All right, everybody.
There it is. Now I'm disappointed.
Everybody, thank you so much for watching. Have a good one.
Or not.
We hope,
It's up
yeah,
to
have
you.
a bad one.
Yeah.
If you feel like
Have
it.
a one.
Have a bad one, so then
Have
you
a-
can have
have a
another
one.
good
Have
one.
a one. Yeah.
Life
Just
is
have
a
one.
series of ups and downs. We are living a sine curve, and we love you anyway.
Just
Yeah.
have one, brother or sister.
We hope you continue to check out the rest of our content. We release every week. And until we see you next week, remember,
Stay strange.